We get a different view now from Derek Johnson. He is the president and CEO of the NAACP. Last week, he met with President Biden to discuss voting rights along with other civil rights leaders. President Johnson, thank you so much for joining us here. President Biden just delivered one of the most passionate speeches of his presidency. He called for a new coalition to be formed to push back on these voting laws. My question, though, is what do you want to see in addition to these powerful words? Are you seeing enough action behind these words?
Well, the words were powerful. They were impassioned. It shows his level of commitment verbally, but we're waiting to see the outcome of those commitments. One part of the speech I thought was profound is when he quoted John Lewis that said that freedom is action. In this moment, democracy is under attack, and we need to push back with actionable policy to ensure that all citizens are afforded access to voting.
Now, you talk about the wanting to see the outcome here. You have the GOP, who has been quick and efficient. They've introduced hundreds of GOP-backed voting laws around the country. My question to you is, what do you make of this efficiency as you see voting legislation stalled in Congress and as you see the Supreme Court upholding some of those GOP-backed laws?
Well, for Democrats, I commend them to try to hold fast to traditions and protocol. But for Republicans, they're very clear on what they are seizing. They're seizing power. They don't care about democracy. Democracy is under attack. And for Democrats, we must stand up to be very clear that this type of attack will be met with equal force so that our Constitution can be real. For the NAACP, this isn't a partisan issue. We've been in the exact same place from the 60s to current. In fact, we've been in the exact same place for 112 years. During the 60s, we had to fight Democrats. Today, we're fighting Republicans. At the end of the day, it's not about partisanship. It's about our Constitution. It's about our rights to vote.
But what is your biggest concern when you want to see that equal pushback? What are you not seeing, and how nervous are you as you see Republicans really move with this efficiency?
The sense of urgency from Democrats in Congress. This is squarely in the Senate. They must determine whether or not they're going to allow a procedural rule like the filibuster to prevent them from protecting the rights of votes, whether or not they're going to be quarantined to one method of getting this done as opposed to pushing through what's necessary. This administration had a major accomplishment. That accomplishment happened through budget reconciliation. That's the only thing the Senate has been willing to move on. And if that's the route we need to take, then that's what we need to do. If we don't do this before the census data is released, we're going to see a troubling outcome from every jurisdiction, from water boards to city councils, because redistricting starts right behind that. And this would be the first redistricting that we will see without the full protection of the Voting Rights Act, either Section 5 or Section 2, if they don't address this immediately.
Now, both you and President Biden have really compared these voting laws to Jim Crow. You've also, the NAACP has filed a lawsuit. You have the DOJ also suing Georgia over its voting law. My question, though, is if Congress does not act, where does that leave you? Because some civil rights leaders say it can't just be litigation alone.
Well, it's clear it will not be litigation. Not only it cannot be, it will not. The Supreme Court spoke loud 2 weeks ago when they gutted Section 2. First, they gutted Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. Now they've gutted Section 2. It must be legislation. It must be the Senate taking actions. The House have done their part. Now we are stalled in this pattern, as we are with other policy issues, because we have a Republican leader who's made it his mission not to allow this administration to be successful. The question is for the administration, would they allow Mitch McConnell to bully them and prevent democracy from really standing up and protecting the rights of voters, particularly African Americans, but all voters, because this is an issue for all citizens, not just one community.
You brought up the filibuster. President Biden has not backed any sort of changes to the filibuster, other than saying that maybe we should bring back the talking filibuster. What do you make of where the president stands? Do you want to see him change his stance on the filibuster? Do you want to see what Jim Clyburn is talking about, Representative Jim Clyburn, saying that there needs to be at least a rule change for civil rights and voting laws to the filibuster?
I want an outcome where the rights of citizens vote protected. How we get there is nuanced, and I don't want to be distracted by whether or not we make an exception with the filibuster, we do away with the filibuster. I'm looking for protection of the right to vote. We are under a state of emergency. I understand with clarity that if this isn't done before the release of the census data, it would be a huge, huge problem for many citizens across the country, and we cannot afford to hold ourselves out as being a leading democracy while allowing democracy to be subverted at the hands of this administration, this Senate, or this Congress.
Well, do you see a way for some sort of voting legislation to pass if it's not a change to the filibuster?
Oh, absolutely. You could do it through bill reconciliation. You could make the exception to the filibuster, or there are many other ways that I'm sure creative minds, once they get to the table, they can come up with. This is not about what cannot happen. We should be talking about what's possible. It has been the role of the NAACP, it's been the role of this nation to make what's possible what others see as impossible. And we get distracted about a procedural rule and forget that the substance is what matters, then we will be talking about a procedural rule. I want to talk about the substance and getting to a solution to protect the right of all voters.
You only have about 10 seconds left, but do you want to see the president change his stance on the filibuster?
Oh, for multiple reasons, yes. I absolutely want to see the filibuster removed. It's a segregationist procedural rule that was perfected by the former senator from Mississippi, Senator Eastland. And that should not be the case. That it was done to impede progress. But right now, I'm more concerned with protecting the right to voters. If it take the filibuster to be removed to make that happen, great. If we could do it without it, fine. I am concerned around the substance of the public policy, not the procedural rule.
Well, thank you so much, Derrick Johnson, president of the NAACP.
Thank you.